Good morning to my classmates and also to my teacher, Sir Verso. We are now under Chapter 14 of International Business and Trade that discusses about foreign direct investment and collaborative ventures. Now, I am Rosan Elihis Torillo and let me discuss to you my part, which is the foreign direct investment. So what do we call now the foreign direct investment? A foreign direct investment, it is an internationalization strategy in which the firm establishes physical presence abroad through ownership of productive assets such as capital, technology, labor, land, plant, and equipment. So this foreign direct investment is a long-term investment by an investor in an enterprise in another economy, resulting in lasting interest with significant influence over the overseas enterprise. Well, this is an investment of firm or an individual that makes in the business interest located in the country outside of their own. Foreign direct investment includes the factory in foreign country like Tesla factory in China, a purchase of an existing company like Walmart, purchase in a retail chain of Silfra in Mexico, or an investment of a company in a foreign markets. So this FDI is very essential for an economic health of developed nations, and these investments support innovation, job creation, and also economic development. While in international collaborative venture naman, it refers to a cross-border business alliance in which partnering firms pool their resources and share cost and risk of the new venture. Well, it is a form of foreign direct investment in which the focal firm partners with one or more other companies to establish a physical presence abroad. So this will further discussed later by my partner, Miss Kim Empog. Let us now discuss about the foreign market entry strategies. One of the key decisions that management makes in international business is the choice of foreign market entry strategy and the particular institutional arrangement it employs to access the foreign market. When undertaking foreign market entry, the focal firm must consider several factors including the degree of control it wants to maintain over the decisions, operations, and strategic assets involved in the venture, the degree of risk it is willing to tolerate and the time frame within which it expects returns, the organizational and financial resources, like for example, the capital, managers, technology it will commit to the venture, the availability and capabilities of partners in the market, the value-adding activities it is willing to perform itself in the market, and what activities it will leave to partners, and the long-term strategic importance of the market. While all these factors are relevant, the more critical is the first one, which is the degree of control it wants to maintain over the decisions, operations, and strategic assets involved in the venture. Because control refers to the ability to influence the decisions, operations, and strategic resources with respect to the foreign venture. Without the control, the focal firm will find it more difficult to coordinate actions, carry out strategies, and resolve the disputes that arises when two parties pursue their own interest. As you can see at the illustration, it is the classification of foreign market entry strategies based on the degree of control afforded to the focal firm. It illustrates another useful way to organize foreign market entry strategies based on the degree of control each strategy affords the focal firm over foreign operations. We have the low control strategies, moderate control strategies, and the high control strategies. When we talk about low control strategies, here are the exporting, counter trade, and the global sourcing. They provide the least control over foreign operations since the focal firm delegates considerable responsibility to foreign partners like distributors or suppliers. In a moderate control strategies is contractual relationships such as licensing and franchising and the project-based collaborative ventures. And in the high control strategies are the equity joint ventures and FDI or foreign direct investment. the focal firm attains maximum control by establishing a physical presence in the foreign market. The particular arrangement of these entry strategies also highlights trade-offs other than control that the focal firm makes when entering foreign markets. First, the high control strategies require substantial resource commitments by the focal firm. The second, because the firm become anchored or physically tied to the foreign market for the long term, it has less flexibility to reconfigure its operation there as conditions in the current country evolve over time. In the third, longer term involvement in the market also implies considerable risk due to uncertainty in the political and customer environments, especially amplified are political risk, cultural risk, and current risk which we discussed earlier. Now let's move on to the motives for foreign direct investment in collaborative ventures. Companies pursue FDI and international collaborative ventures for complex and overlapping reasons, and the ultimate goal is to enhance firm competitiveness in the global marketplace. It is useful to classify specific motives into three categories: the market seeking motives, resource or asset seeking motives, and the efficiency seeking motives. In this illustration, it illustrates these motives, and they apply equally to FDI and collaborative ventures. Let's talk about first the market seeking motives. Managers may seek a new market opportunities either as a result of unfavorable developments in their home market or attractive opportunities abroad. There are three primary market seeking motivations. Number one is gain access to a new market or opportunities. The existence of substantial market motivates many firms to produce offerings at or near customer locations. A local production improves customer service, of course, and reduces cost of transporting goods to buyer locations. The second is follow key customers. Firms often follow their key customers abroad to preempt other vendors from servicing them. And one of the examples is the TradeGuard Industries, which supplies the plastic that its customer Procter and Gamble uses to manufacture disposable diapers. When P&G built a plant in China, TradeGuard management made the decision to establish production there as well. The third is to compete with key rivals in their own markets. Some M&S may choose to confront current or potential competitors directly in the competitor's home market. The strategic purpose is to weaken the competitor by forcing it to expend resources to defend its market. Like for example, in the earth-moving equipment industry, Caterpillar entered a joint venture with Mitsubishi to put pressure on the market share and profitability of Komatsu, which is their common rival. Expending substantial resources to defend its home market hampered Komatsu's ability to expand its activities abroad. Now let's talk about the second motives for foreign direct investment in collaborative ventures, which is the resource or asset seeking motives. Firms wish to acquire production factors that may be more abundant or less costly in the foreign market or seek complementary resources and capabilities of partners companies. Specifically, FDI or collaborative ventures may be motivated by the firm's desire to attain the following objectives, which are the access raw materials needed in extractive and agricultural industries. The second is gain access to knowledge or other assets. And the third is the access technological and managerial know-how available in a key market. This firm may benefit by establishing a presence in a key industrial cluster, such as the robotics industry in Japan, chemicals in Germany, fashion in Italy, or software in the United States. Firms can obtain many advantages from locating at the hub of knowledge development, of course, and innovation in a given industry. For the instant, the countries considered ideal today for R&D in the biotechnology industry are Denmark, Finland, Israel, New Zealand, Sweden, and the United States because they all have abundant pools of biotech knowledge workers. In addition, many firms enter a collaborative venture abroad as a prelude to wholly own FTI. Collaboration with a local partner reduces the risk of entry while allowing the entrant to gain local expertise prior to launching operations of its own in the market. The third motives for foreign direct investment in collaborative ventures is the efficiency seeking motives. In pursuing international expansion, firms also seek to enhance the efficiency of their value adding activities, and the objective is to create economies of scale as well as economies of scope. That is, to achieve a more efficient use of corporate assets by employing them across a larger number of products and markets. Like for example, a firm can concentrate manufacturing in a few locations around the world as a way of optimizing production operations. Or the firm can disseminate best practice in, say, new product development or procurement of a global network of subsidiaries. Global brands can pay better dividends for product innovation. And the efficiency seeking motives include the reduced sourcing and production costs by assessing inexpensive labor and other cheap inputs to the production process. This motive accounts for the massive development of factories and service producing facilities in China, Mexico, Eastern Europe, and India. The second, locate production near customers. In industries that require firms to especially sensitive to customer needs or in which taste change rapidly, manager often local factories or assembly operations near important customers. For instance, in the fashion industry, Spain's Zara and Sweden's H&M local much of their garment production in key markets such as Europe. Production is more expensive, but the clothing gets into shops faster and more closely represents the latest fashion trends. The third is that to take advantage of government incentives. In addition to restricting imports, governments may offer subsidies and tax concessions to foreign firms to encourage them to invest locally. Government encourage inward foreign direct investment because it provides local jobs and capital. It increases tax revenue and transfer skills and technologies. The fourth and the last one in efficiency seeking motives is to avoid trade barriers. Firms may engage in FDI to avoid tariffs and other trade barriers as these usually apply only to exporting. By establishing a physical presence within economic bloc such as the EU or European Union, a foreign firm a foreign firm obtains the same advantages as local firms. Partnering with a local firm helps to overcome regulations or trade barriers or to satisfy local content rules. The desire to avoid the trade barriers helps explain why numerous Japanese automakers set up factories in the United States in the 1980s. However, the motive is less important today than in the past because trade barriers have declined substantially in many countries. A foreign direct investment is a high control strategy for entering foreign markets, and the firm invests equity or capital in the foreign countries for the purpose of building or acquiring manufacturing plants, subsidiaries, sale offices, or other needed facilities. Ownership abroad in brick and mortar facilities enables the firm to maintain a physical presence and secure direct access to customers and partners. In this sense, FDI is an equity or ownership form of foreign market entry. And the foreign direct investment should not be confused with international or foreign portfolio investment. So I put this international portfolio investment in this presentation. International portfolio investment refers to a passive ownership of foreign securities such as stocks and bonds for the purpose of generating financial returns. While it is a form of international investment, but it is not direct investment. And now we're going to talk about the 6 key features of FDI. Foreign direct investment is characterized by 6 key features. The first one is the FDI represents greater resource commitment. As the ultimate internationalization strategy, it is far more taxing on the firm's resources and capabilities than any other entry strategy. The second, FDI implies local presence and operations. By using the FDI strategy, management chooses to have local presence and establish direct contact with customers, intermediaries, facilitators, and the government sector. The third is the FDI allows the firm to achieve global scale efficiency, which help enhance the performance of the firm. Managers choose each location on the basis of comparative advantages. That is, the firm seeks to perform R&D activities in the most knowledge and intensive countries in its industry, source from suppliers that provide the best intermediate and finished goods, build production facilities at locations that provide the best ratio of productivity to labor cost, and establish marketing subsidiaries to sell its goods or services in those countries that offer the greatest sale potential. The fourth is to compare to any other entry strategies. FDI entails substantial risk and uncertainty because establishing a permanent or fixed presence in a foreign country makes the firm vulnerable to specific circumstances in that country. The fifth is the direct investors must deal more intensively with the particular social and cultural variables present in the host market. Multinational enterprises with high profile, conspicuous operations are especially vulnerable to close public scrutiny of their actions. And the sixth, related to the last point, multinational firms increasingly strive to behave in socially responsible ways in host countries. Many are sensitizing their employees to be ethical abroad, investing in local communities, and seeking establish global standards of fair treatment for workers. Before we talk about who is active in direct investment, let us know first the meaning of direct investment. Direct investment is the typical foreign market entry strategy for large M&S firms with extensive experience in international business. And in this illustration, um, it is the world's most international non-financial M&S ranked by foreign assets. It is arranged by the value of their foreign assets, and it shows the M&S with the greatest amount of such foreign assets, such as subsidiaries and affiliates worldwide. Like for example, in a UK-based Vodafone, it is a mobile phone supplier with numerous sales offices in most major cities around the world. Let us now talk about the factors to consider in selecting FDI locations. In the illustration, it is the list of the criteria that firms use to evaluate countries as potential targets for FDI projects. We have the market factors, human resource factors, infrastructural factors, profit retention factors, economic factors, legal and regulatory factors, and the political and governmental factors. Under the market factors, we have the size and the growth of national market, the size and growth of regional market, and the proximity to key export markets. In the human resource factors, we have the cost, availability, and productivity of skilled labor, involvement of labor unions, the availability and quality of managerial workforce, and the employment regulations. Under the infrastructural factors, we have the availability and quality of local manufacturing, the efficiency of physical distribution, the cost, availability, and quality of utilities and finance, and the quality of marketing and distribution. Under the profit retention factors, the types and the level of taxes rate for profit registration, the complexity of tax system, and the rate of inflation. Under the economic factors, we have the cost of land and facilities, state of the local economy, stability of currency, and the extent of regional integration and free trade. In legal and regulatory factors, regulations on FDI and technology transfer, nature of legal system and laws, intellectual property protection, extent of tariffs, other trade barriers, and under the political and governmental factors is the political stability, openness to foreign investment, extent of bureaucracy and red tape, and the transparency and corruption. So, these are our factors to consider in selecting foreign direct investment locations. Now let's talk about the types of foreign direct investment. The first are the form of FDI, which are the greenfield investment, the acquisition, and the merger. Greenfield investment occurs when a firm invests to build a new manufacturing, marketing, or administrative facility, as opposed to acquiring existing facilities. As the name Greenfield implies, the investing firm typically buys an empty plot of land and builds a production plant, marketing subsidiary, or other facility there for its own use. The direct investor also has the option of merging with or acquiring an existing company in a foreign market. And ito na nga yung tinatawag nating acquisition. Acquisition refers to a direct investment or purchase of an existing company or facility. The third one is the merger. It is a special type of acquisition in which two firms join to form a new or larger firm. Mergers are more common between companies of similar size because they are capable of integrating their operations on a relatively equal basis. And now we're going to talk about the nature of ownership in FDI. Foreign direct investors also can choose the degree of control they wish to retain in the new venture. This is accomplished through full or partial ownership. And ownership suggests full or partial control over the affairs of the business. For example, decisions about new products, expansion, and profit distribution. Firms can choose between a wholly owned venture or a joint venture to secure control. The choice determines the extent of the firm's financial commitment to the foreign venture. If the local firm is pursuing partial ownership in an existing firm, this is referred to as equity participation. While in a wholly owned direct investment, it is a foreign direct investment in which the investor fully owns the foreign assets. In other words, it assumes 100% ownership of the business and secures complete managerial control over its operations. In contrast to wholly owned direct investment and equity joint venture, because it is a type of partnership in which a separate firm is created through the investment or pooling of assets by two or more parent firms that gain joint ownership of the new legal entity. A third classification of FDI is a vertical versus horizontal integration. Vertical integration is an arrangement whereby the firm owns or seeks to own multiple stages of a value chain for producing, selling, and delivering a product or service. Vertical FDI takes two forms. In forward vertical integration, the firm develops the capacity to sell its outputs by investing in downstream value chain facilities, and that is the marketing and selling operations. The forward vertical integration naman is a less common than backward vertical integration, in which the firm acquires the capacity abroad to provide inputs for its foreign or domestic production processes by investing in upstream facilities, typically factories, assembly plants, or refining operations. Firms can own both backward and forward FDI operations. For instance, in various countries, Honda owns both suppliers of car parts and dealerships that sell and distributes car. In horizontal integration, it is an arrangement whereby the firm owns or seeks to own the activities involved in a single stage of its value chain. For instance, Microsoft's primary business is developing computer software. In addition to producing operation system, a word processing, and spreadsheet software, it has also developed subsidiaries abroad that make other types of software. And for example of this horizontal integration is the Microsoft acquired a Montreal based firm that produces the software used to create movie animations. As this example suggests, firms invest abroad in their own industry to expand their capacity and activities, and the firm may acquire another firm engaged in an identical value chain activity to achieve economies of scale, expand its product line, increase its profitability, or in some cases, eliminate a competitor. So this is my part, and Miss Empag will continue our report. Thank you for listening.